So if you talk about the MCQs over here, so just look at over there. Okay, क्या कह रहे हैं ये MCQs? The scene is this: the apparatus shown below was set up to copper plate the metal spoon, and we always know that whenever we want to plate any substance, it should be at cathode. वो substance को cathode पे होना जरूरी है. And right now you can just see over there, वो एनोड पे लगा हुआ है, गलत लगा दिया उन्होंने. तो पहले ही देखकर आपको अंदाजा लगा लेना चाहिए कि ये क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ सकता है आपसे. And the question is actually saying what was the mistake, and this is actually the mistake, right? So you can see this. The right answer will be the spoon should be at negative electrode. उसको negative electrode पे होना चाहिए, because कोई भी substance जो कि आपको electroplate करना है, it is always at cathode. उसको हमेशा cathode पे होना चाहिए. ठीक है? Then the next one is, which reaction take place during electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate using copper electrodes? This is what you need to understand. जब भी copper electrode लगेगा, so you need to keep remember, anode हमेशा क्या होगा? Dissolve. Cathode क्या होगा? हमेशा increase, क्योंकि यहाँ पर copper deposit होगा, यहाँ से copper क्या होगा? Dissolve होगा. So copper metal loss of electron करके copper ion बनाएगा, ठीक है ना? और यहाँ पर इसका reverse होगा, यहाँ पर copper ions electron gain कर copper बनाएंगे. Right, so you need to keep remember whenever you talk about copper electrodes, right? So over here, reaction at positive electrode कौन सा होता है? Positive is anode and negative is cathode. So positive anode पे क्या हो रहा है? Copper dissolve हो रहा है. तो या तो ये आंसर हो सकता है, या तो ये आंसर हो सकता है, ये दोनों नहीं हो सकते, right? इन दोनों में से right आंसर कौन सा हो गया? D हो गया. Then again, an aqueous mixture of copper nitrate and silver nitrate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Again, copper electrodes. And what happened at the anode? They are asking for, we know that anode पे क्या होगा? Copper dissolve होगा. So the right equation will be A. Is that right, every one of you?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next two questions are here. आपने ये वाला, if you talk about MCQ number 4, just look at over there. MCQ number 4 is saying the diagram shows the apparatus used to investigate the conductivity of different solutions, right? So we need to keep remember this whenever we talk about the solutions. So they conduct electricity due to the presence of ions, So remember, solutions can conduct electricity due to the mobile ions. If they have mobile ions, so they can conduct electricity, otherwise they cannot. And I told you that ions किस में हो सकते हैं? I told you that you should have molten or aqueous ionic compounds. आपके पास ionic compounds होने चाहिए, molten या aqueous. Secondly, you should have what? Acids. So इनके पास ions होते हैं, they can conduct electricity, and the rest of all don't have. Ammonia is actually gas. तो इसके पास तो ions होने से नहीं हो सकते. हाँ, अगर aqueous ammonia होता, that will be the different thing, right? Aqueous ammonia के पास free ions होते हैं. It has ammonium ion and a hydroxide ion, but right now this is not ammonium ion. This is actually only ammonia, which is a gas, so it does not have ions. So right now this is not the right answer. Then ethanoic acid is acid. It can conduct electricity, and ethanol have no ions, right? It cannot conduct electricity. It is a covalent compound. It cannot conduct electricity because it does not have free ions. But sulfuric acid is also acids. We are having two acids right now, and we know that ethanoic acid is a weak acid. This is the weak acid, and this is the strong acid. And we know that weak acids, what? They dissociate partial dissociation, and over here we have complete dissociation. So here we have less ions, and here we have more ions. So when we have more ions, so there will be more electricity to conduct, and when there will be less ions, so there will be less electricity to conduct. So the right answer will be D. Very good, many of you, right? Then if you talk about MCQ number 5, bachcho, so the diagram shows the electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate using copper electrodes. Again, copper electrodes. So we know that anode decomposes. It is going to decompose, dissolve, and it is going to enlarge in size. Just need to keep remember they are already made up of copper, right? Which graph shows the change of cathode mass? Which graph is showing the mass of cathode changes? So you need to keep remember that cathode is already made up of some mass of copper, right? So there should be some mass initially, and then it is start increasing, right? So ये दोनों तो आंसर नहीं हो सकते. It can be the answer, but you need to keep remember there will be some mass of cathode before the reaction. So the right answer will be D, right? If any one of you is marking C, so it is wrong answer because शुरू में जब इलेक्ट्रोलिसिस स्टार्ट नहीं हुई है तब भी तो कुछ ना कुछ मास है ना, और वो भी कॉपर ही है, ठीक है ना? तो D will be the right answer. Am I clear to every one of you?
Yes.
I'm going to show you the right answers of these. So if you talk about MCQ number 6, it is saying in which set of paradox will be the bulb least bright. सबसे कम, ठीक है ना? So you can see that it is a graphite rod, and graphite is the only conductor, only non-metal conductor which can conduct electricity. Definitely we are not talking about electrolyte right now, we are talking about the bulb to light up, right? So even it is not an electrolyte, it is a conductor of electricity, but still the bulb will be light up, right? And over here you can see this, we have molten sodium. Sodium is also metal, it is a good conductor of electricity, so it can conduct electricity and bulb will be light up, right? And you can see over here liquid mercury, again it is one of the metal. You can say that it is also a conductor of electricity and the bulb will be light up. But over here if you focus, this is lead bromide, which is ionic compound, and we know that ionic compound can conduct electricity but only in aqueous and molten state. So right now it is solid, so it's difficult to this bulb light up. So the right answer will be B. The least bulb which is going to be light up over here is B. Then over here copper wire is used to complete the electrical circuit. What happened to the copper wire? Copper wire के साथ क्या होता है? You just need to keep remember the structure of metal, right? Structure of metal में आपके पास positive ions होते हैं इस तरह से, और उसके जो electrons होते हैं they are delocalized, ठीक है ना? They are going to move, right? They are delocalized electrons. So just think about this, like अगर for suppose आपके पास copper wire घर में लगे हुए हैं, उस कॉपर वायर के अंदर से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्ट हो रही है, तो अगर ये जो मेटल आयंस हैं ये भी मूव करना शुरू हो गए, अगर ये मेटल आयंस जो हैं ये मूव करना शुरू हो गए, तो डेफिनेटली आपका कॉपर आपने वायर में लगाया होगा, जहां से इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जा रही होगी वहां कॉपर जा रहा होगा। तो आपने जो है मोबाइल में लगाया, आपके मोबाइल में करंट के साथ साथ क्या आ गया, कॉपर भी आ गया। इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल ना। तो जो पॉजिटिव आयंस हैं, द आयंस विल रिमेन ऑन देयर पोजीशन, वो चेंज नहीं हो सकते, ठीक है ना? जो इलेक्ट्रॉन है व्हिच आर डीलोकलाइज्ड ओवर हियर, दे कैन मूव, राइट? सो व्हेन दे मूव, they will move from they are going to be replaced by the new electrons, ठीक है ना? So you just need to keep remember electrons can move, right? And electrons is always move from negative to positive terminal, right? So electrons move along the wire to the positive terminal, right? Negative terminal पे move नहीं होते electrons, और ना ही negative ions हैं हमारे पास, ठीक है ना? तो A और D आंसर नहीं हो सकता। Electrons can move from negative to positive terminal, the B and C can be the right answer, and positive ions remain on their position. So the C will be the right answer. Is that clear, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you talk about the question number 8, just look at over here. They are saying which negative ions are present in aqueous copper 2 sulfate. The simplest question they can ask, copper sulfate है और उसका solution कैसा है आपके पास, aqueous. So we know that we have negative ions over here, sulfate ions, and as we have aqueous solution, so they must have water molecule, and water molecules have OH ions, so sulfate and hydroxide ions, right बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Then in question number 9, they're asking what is the best conductor of electricity, and we know that metals are the best conductor of electricity. That is why we are using them in wires, right? So there's a solid ionic compound. This cannot be conductor. Ethanol cannot be the conductor. Diamond cannot be the conductor. The best and the only conductor over here is magnesium, right?
Yes.
Then we have the diagram again. The diagram shows the electrolysis of copper 2 sulfate, and this is the very major, you can say that, electrolyte to learn. So you need to go through all examples of copper 2 sulfate using inert electrode, using reactive electrodes, purification of copper, everything you need to go through very consciously, right? In experiment X, both the electrodes are inert. In the X1, the both are inert electrodes. You can see this, right? And in the second one, the electrodes are made up of copper. So these are made up of copper. They are saying on which electrodes is solid metal deposit. We know that metal ions are always positive. Metal ions are always positive, and they are always move towards negative electrode, and we know that negative is actually cathode, right? So it is always move towards cathode. So we know that metal can deposit on cathode only. So right now, the negative terminal is this one, and this one. So the metal can deposit on electrode 2 and 4. So the right answer can be C. Am I right, Bachcha, or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Again, right now, one more thing is they are giving a copper sulfate solution. So we know that copper is less reactive than hydrogen. So definitely the metal is going to be deposited. In case if they just do in the other cell sulfuric acid, so maybe possible कि वहाँ हो सकती थी कोई changes question में, but right now हमारे पास जो है copper sulfate MCQ. I think कि मुझे आप पेपर दोबारा देना चाहिए और MCQ पेपर देना चाहिए खाली. I'll have to solve MCQs, right? Because it's easier to solve and it is easier to identify and less writing in the paper. You can say that when the experiment shown is set up, the bulb lights, but there are no decomposition products at the electrode. What is X? No decomposition products. यानी कि electrolysis हो नहीं रही. Electrolysis हो नहीं रही तो इसका मतलब यह है कि आपने electrolyte use नहीं किया, आपने conductor use किया. ठीक है ना? So we can see over here in the answer that the only answer is D, right? The right answer is D because mercury is a metal, right? Mercury एक अकेला है, उसको आप further decompose नहीं कर सकते हो, उसको तोड़ ही नहीं सकते हो, वो कुछ नहीं बन सकता. मरकरी टूटकर और क्या बनेगा? मरकरी मरकरी रहेगा. ठीक है ना? ठीक है, तो ऐसा मत सोचेगा मरकरी मरकर जो है मर भी सकता है और खड़ी भी बना सकता है, ऐसा नहीं है. इट्स अकेला एलिमेंट, कुछ नहीं करेगा. नेक्स्ट, चल, aqueous copper to sulfate is electrolyzed using carbon electrode. I told you this is the most important one to remember. And again, copper sulfate with carbon electrodes, what would you expect to see during the reaction? You know that we are using carbon electrodes. One is anode, positive is anode, and negative is cathode, right? So we have two electrodes, and we know that जब हमारे पास carbon electrodes होते हैं, तो copper is going to deposit over there, and hydroxide is going over there to form oxygen gas. So anode पर colorless gas आनी चाहिए. So the only right answer will be D. Is that right, बच्चों, or not?
सर इसका A नहीं होगा, एनोड डिसॉल्व नहीं हो जाएगा?
बेटा वो कॉपर इलेक्ट्रोड्स में होता है ना. अगर आप कॉपर के इलेक्ट्रोड यूज, अगर आप यस कार्बन के जो इलेक्ट्रोड्स होते हैं वो इनर्ट होते हैं, अगर आप कॉपर के इलेक्ट्रोड यूज करोगे तो वो डिसॉल्व होगा. ठीक है. Then question number 13, which statement about the electrolysis of solution is correct? During the electrolysis of concentrated aqueous sodium chloride solution, hydrogen produced at cathode. That's fine, that's correct. Electrolysis आप कर रहे हैं किसकी? Aqueous sodium chloride की. So we know that we have sodium ions and hydrogen ions over there. So the last reactive will form product at cathode. So this is the right answer. But let's see the other, what they are saying. Dilute. During the electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid, oxygen is produced at cathode. Oxygen कभी भी cathode पे produce नहीं हो सकती है. When aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed, the reaction taking place at the cathode is this. This is not the reaction. Copper 2 sulfate is copper 2 ions, not copper 1 ions. When aqueous copper sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes, the mass of the anode at the end of the reaction will be greater. No, not at all. We know that copper electrodes use करोगे तो copper anode dissolve होगा तो mass कम होगा. So the right answer will be A. Is that right, बच्चों?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we have question number 14 and question number 15. You can see this question. They are saying the paradistone is set up to plate steel key with copper. The key does not get coated with copper. Which change need to made to plate the key? We know that whenever we want to plate any substance by any metal, we need to place that on
D, sir.
cathode, right? So the right answer will be D. Exactly. Reverse the electrical connections. Absolutely right. You are right. Then question number 15 is saying that the two cells P and Q containing different liquids were connected in a series with a battery, a suitable lamp, and inert electrodes as shown in diagram are set up. For which of the pure liquid did the lamp light up? Just look at over there. Sugar is covalent compound, so it will not light up the bulb. Propanol is alcohol, it will not light up the bulb. Ethanol is alcohol, it will not light up the bulb. The right answer will be D, mercury and hydrochloric acid. They will light up the bulb. Both can conduct electricity, right? Even mercury is conductor and hydrochloric acid is electrolyte. Electrolysis will be processed in dilute hydrochloric acid, but not in mercury, but still the bulb will be light up, right, but or not? Yes, now we have these three MCQs, 16, 17, 18. Now, this is your turn first, then I will solve these, right? So over here, you can see this, the question number 16, and you all know this, the right answer. We know that the heat reflecting shield of a space rocket are electroplated with gold. If you want to plate this with gold, so the gold would be on anode, and we know that positive is anode. So the positive के ऊपर gold होना चाहिए. So the right answer is only B. What do you say, बच्चों? Is that right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And negative is cathode. So negative आप हमेशा लगाएंगे the substance which is going to be electroplates. The heat shield will be on the negative electrode, and the salt of the same salt will be as an electrolyte. Right. Then 17 is saying the experiment shown is used to test potassium bromide crystals. The lamp does not light because you can see this, that they are on almost part in solid state. You can see this. Distilled water is then added to the beaker and then lamp lights. Which statement explain this? Right. Electrons are free to move. You need to keep remember that electrons are always conduct electricity in metals, right? Electron is one of the reason in which by which the electricity conduct in metals and graphite only. Electrons, ions और electrons दोनों अलग अलग चीजें हैं, आपने याद रखनी है. Ions जो हैं compounds में होते हैं, electrons elements में होते हैं, तो this is compound, तो इसमें ions होंगे, electrons नहीं होंगे. तो पहली बात तो ये गलत हो गई. This is wrong. Then metal ions are free to move. Not only metal ions, right? Metal ions are free to move when potassium reacts with water. It's not going to reaction over there. Yes, the right answer is positively charged ions free to move when potassium bromide dissolve in water. So the right answer will be D. Then we have 4 reactions over here. 4 processes over here: electrolysis of concentrated sodium chloride, electrolysis of dilute sulfuric acid, extraction of aluminum, purification of copper, right? Which process produce oxygen at one of the electrode? Sodium chloride is concentrated, so the chlorine will be produced at anode and hydrogen will produce at cathode. This is anode and this is cathode. And when you talk about sulfuric acid, so hydrogen will be on cathode and oxygen will be at anode. Whenever you talk about aluminum, extraction, so aluminum at cathode and oxygen at anode. And the purification of copper using copper sulfate solution, and purification always use reactive electrodes. So there will be, you can say that copper deposit and copper dissolve, right? So the second one and the third one are the right answer. So you can say that B will be the right answer. Is that right, Bacho?
Yes, sir.
Then these 2 MCQs is as well over here. When concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed using inert electrode, which product is formed at cathode and which product is formed at anode? कैथोड पे प्रोडक्ट क्या बनेगी, एनोड पे क्या बनेगी? एक्वस सोडियम क्लोराइड है, कंसंट्रेटेड में क्लोरीन और एक्वस सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड में हाइड्रोजन. सो कैथोड पे हाइड्रोजन और एनोड पे आपके पास बनेगी क्लोरीन. सो द राइट आंसर विल बी A. Which negative ions are present in aqueous copper sulfate? We know that we did this earlier as well, sulfate and hydroxide ions. So the C will be the right answer. Is that clear, every one of you?
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of MCQs over here. You can solve these MCQs in your booklets if you have. So, and whatever the booklet you have, you can solve over there the rest of the questions. Let's see some theoretical question as well. So let's talk about this. Question number 8. Just look at over there. Question number 8 is saying only liquids that contain moving ions can be electrolyzed. These liquids are called as electrolytes. Complete the following table, which shows the products from when some liquids are electrolyzed using inert electrodes. So aqueous copper sulfate, when you are going to decompose or electrolyze this using inert electrodes, we know that copper is less reactive than hydrogen, so definitely it is going to form at negative electrode, which is cathode. Negative is cathode, positive is anode. So copper is going to be deposited at cathode, and we know that hydroxide will go over there and produce oxygen gas, so oxygen will be at anode. And if you talk about molten lead bromide, so this is the most simplest case whenever you have molten, so we have just two ions and one of them will go over at cathode and one will at anode. So cathode पे जाएगा lead और anode पे जाएगी bromine. You need to keep remember whenever they ask for the product, you need to name the product, right? And you need to know the observations as well. Over here, there will be the colorless bubbles, and this will be the pink solid. This will be the brownish gas bubbles, and you can say that lead metal का color याद नहीं है, तो लिख सकते हो mass of cathode increases. Then, when concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed using chlorine is the form at positive electrode and hydrogen at negative electrode. Construct the ionic equation to show the formation of chlorine at positive electrode. We know that positive is anode and there is always loss of electron over there. So loss of electron is always written on the product side. The loss of electron and chloride will lose one electron to form chlorine atom. But we know that chlorine is from group number 7, so it should be diatomic. For this, two chlorides should lose one electron each, so it will form what? Chlorine gas. Am I right, Bacho?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then explain why hydrogen is formed at the negative electrode rather than sodium. We know that hydrogen is less reactive.
Dominant reactivity.
Hydrogen is less reactive than sodium, so gain electrons readily. This is very important to write. So gain electrons readily. You need to keep remember the why less reactive is one of the reason, but you need to keep remember less reactive always gain electron first. So this is actual way of the production at cathode. वो अगर इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन नहीं करेगा तो प्रोडक्ट नहीं बनेगी, ठीक है ना? इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन कर रहा है, ठीक है, वो लेस रिएक्टिव है इसलिए इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन कर रहा है, बट वो इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन कर रहा है तभी तो लेस रिएक्टिव कहला भी रहा है ना. So they both are the same thing. They both should be, you can say that, connected together. So you need to write like this. Now name the metal manufactured by the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds. Name a metal manufactured by the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds. So you can say that aluminum, right? This is the part of our syllabus. Is that clear, every one of you?
So ये explain कर देंगे C part.
C part is saying name a metal manufactured by the electrolysis of molten ionic compounds. This is the part of your syllabus. You need to understand this whenever you talk about the extraction of metals. So the metals which are more reactive than carbon can be extracted by electrolysis, right? अगर आप बात करें सोडियम की, पोटेशियम की, कैल्शियम की, मैग्नीशियम की, एल्युमिनियम की, ये पांचों ज्यादा रिएक्टिव हैं कार्बन से. So अगर आप चाहते हैं कि इनके salts में से इनको extract किया जाए, so you must need to use their molten solutions and you need to do electrolysis of them. Otherwise इनको extract करना मुश्किल होता है. Is that clear? ये अभी हम metals में पढ़ेंगे reactivity series में. Okay?
Okay, sir.
चले, now this is a time for your homework. You must